Hey there, Cassie here, and I'm going to share with you why the solution to emotional eating over 60 is self-love and not diets. But first, who am I? I'm Cassie Christopher, a registered dietitian, body positive health coach, and it is my mission to help women 45 and up love themselves better by healing emotional eating so that they can feel comfortable in their own bodies. And if you're someone who knows that you've reached for ice cream or popcorn or chocolate or what have you because of emotional reasons rather than just to satisfy your hunger or get fuel, then you've probably looked for ways to stop doing it. And I put together some advice that you've probably heard, and I'm going to explain to you in this video why that advice isn't helpful. Chief among them is you need to follow a meal plan, stick to a diet, you need to have more self-control and more willpower, eat a healthy snack instead, or my very favorite, just stop doing that. If you've ever had these experiences and heard this honestly really terrible advice, then you may still be wondering if emotional eating is really a problem for you because that advice that you tried didn't work and what you should do about it. So I've got a couple of examples to help you understand if emotional eating is an issue for you. And really what it boils down to is using food to numb or avoid your emotions or using food for pleasure and self-care rather than just using food again for that fuel and nourishment. And of course, it's okay to use food in these ways that I just discussed, pleasure, self-care, etc. But it becomes a problem when you're doing that often enough that your food choices, which I've never heard of anyone emotionally eating carrots, am I right, start to impact your health. Of course, high sugar, high fat foods can lead to heart issues, diabetes, a whole list of issues. I don't have to tell you that. I think you probably already know. So if your eating choices are making you concerned for your future or current health, then perhaps it's time to do something about it. So here are some examples or ways that you can know that you're struggling with emotional eating. So first, you might be eating because you just like the taste of food. That's for pleasure. You're eating to reward yourself. You get a hit of that dopamine, so you feel pleasure and reward when you eat. If you're eating to kind of satisfy your boredom, eating to stay awake, eating when stressed or angry. If you're sneaking or hiding food. 7, feeling guilt or shame after eating. Or 8, if you're eating at the end of a long day because you're putting everyone else's needs before your own, then you're likely emotionally eating. So some of the top causes of emotional eating, it's important for you to understand why you may be doing this, and in particular why once you get into 45, 50, 60 and beyond, this becomes more of an issue for you so that you can know how to solve it. So the first cause of emotional eating is this activated nervous system and stress hormone imbalance. So the stress hormone cortisol can result in some pretty intense cravings. I call them either the Cookie Monster craving, where you just have this strong urge to gobble everything in front of you right now, or the devil on your shoulder, where you're just constantly fighting and using your willpower all day long and telling yourself, no, I don't need to eat, I don't need to eat. So if you're feeling like that, you're probably dealing with this nervous system imbalance causing these cravings. And this imbalance can come from more than just psychological stress. So history of trauma, inflammation, sleep deprivation, menopausal changes, blood sugar imbalance, and dieting, restrictive dieting in particular, especially intermittent fasting, can cause an imbalance in the stress hormone cortisol. The second top cause of emotional eating is not feeling your emotions. So this makes a lot of sense. If you're using food to avoid or numb your emotions, the answer is actually to feel them. Because the truth is, emotions tend to be transient. You feel them and they're gone. But if you don't feel your emotions, you use food to avoid them, then they stick around and they stick around in your body. And actually, research shows that there can be negative health consequences to repressing your emotions like depression, anxiety, fibromyalgia, immune system issues, chronic diseases, heart issues. all of these can come about from not feeling your emotion. Another top cause here is not being connected to what gives you pleasure in life. Oftentimes women are told that they should kind of lay down their lives for everyone else around them, and that what they want and desire doesn't really matter. And so when you are using food for pleasure rather than identifying what it is you want that gives you pleasure and fun and feels good to you in life, then it can become imbalanced. So you end up choosing food rather than, finding other avenues. And when you hit that 60 and beyond number in your life, you can start to struggle for other reasons as well. Life transitions like retirement, moving, losing loved ones, these can be emotional events. And if you don't have the time and space in your life or routines to sort and process through how you're feeling, again, you might be using food to avoid those feelings. Lasting menopausal symptoms as well. Menopause can last for a long time, or perimenopause can last for a long time for some women. So hormonal imbalances can trigger the stress hormone cortisol again, which leads to more cravings and feeling anxious about food. And then lastly, this human giver syndrome. So when I mentioned how women are socialized to put the needs and desires of other people above themselves, philosopher Kate Manne coined this term human giver syndrome to describe how that happens in our lives. And so you may be feeling guilty for prioritizing your own needs, your own health, your own desires, especially if maybe you're a caregiver or, you're doing things in your life for other people. And so it's important to be able to recognize that it's okay for you to do things for yourself, even if it's uncomfortable. And honestly, feeling guilty that you're caring for yourself is just another difficult emotion that you might be using food to soothe. And so again, allowing yourself to feel that guilt and be okay with it and move forward anyways is one way to help overcome some of these issues. So I hope it's clear by now why dieting isn't the solution. It can cause that stress hormone imbalance. It can make you feel like it can disconnect you from your body and your emotions. And so what to do instead? Well, this is where self-love comes in. So if emotional eating is caused by not feeling your emotions and your nervous system's inability to cope with life stressors on top of repressed emotions, then hopefully you can see why self-love is the answer. Self-love allows you to feel connected to your body so you can honor your hunger and your fullness cues. When you're connected to your body and coming from this viewpoint of love, then you're able to make food, movement, and wellness choices that are the very best for you, that truly honor what you need and respect who you are. So you don't have to worry that you're not doing everything you can for your health. You'll also be able to be more self-compassionate, and practicing self-compassion in your mind allows you to shut down self-criticism and all or nothing thinking that keep you stuck in a cycle of yo-yo dieting and trying and backsliding. And self-compassion also makes it safe to feel your emotions. And then finally, self-love helps you work towards body acceptance. We have this cultural ideal of young and thin, and you may be feeling, and in fact, women over 40, research shows, are more likely to define their perceptions of their bodies based on how they think others perceive their bodies. Stick with me if that was confusing. And so coming back to your body and accepting it for what it is, wrinkles, flab, cellulite, and all, really allows you, again, to make the decisions that respect your body and care for yourself well out of that place, rather than, trying these fad diets or restrictive extreme diets that just cause you to get more off track. So if you're struggling right now with emotional eating, you've probably been struggling for a long time. Most of the women I work with struggle for decades before they find me. And I know it may even seem like self-love or healing of emotional eating will never be possible for you, but I want you to know that there is hope. And in fact, I have a step-by-step guide that you can download at cassiechristopher.net/free. Grab the link in the description to my emotional eating roadmap for people who are done with dieting but still want to heal emotional eating. And that's going to tell you exactly what to do to get started towards self-love and healing your emotional eating. Thanks so much for sticking with me today.